Paul in Woodinville, Washington. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Tom. I want to start with some new vocabulary here. Let's move on from oligarchs to kleptocrats.
Sure.
Putin is a kleptocrat. Donald Trump is a kleptocrat, and kleptocrats form kleptocracies, which basically steal from we the people, and they give it to their oligarch friends. So that's what we really have is a kleptocracy run by kleptocrats. What you're talking about Iraq there, and my nuclear theory here is we were absolutely certain. This I will prove it to you that Iraq had no nuclear weapons. We were certain. So it was more than just a lie. We were absolutely certain he didn't, and here's why. What Putin is proving is that our theory of nuclear deterrence is false. The one we've been living under for the last 70-plus years, that, no one would launch a nuke because, retaliation
mutually assured
destruction.
Yeah.
Right? But that's if there's retaliation. And what we know is there won't be, and there shouldn't be, because it's the retaliation that commits you to the volley, the endless volley that leads to all-out destruction.
Right.
So what your guest was saying is that he's really nervous about Putin using, and Putin knows this, and frankly, all heads of state know this. And that's why, Tom, what other explanation is there that, no, we wouldn't retaliate, because nothing else explains why we are sitting back and letting somebody, Ukraine, get the crap kicked out of them in the middle of the street in front of our house just because they don't live in our NATO neighborhood. And that's because they say, we can't have a no-fly zone, because we can't have direct conflict with Russia, because we know that Putin knows what we know, which is if he launches a small tactical nuke, we will not respond, retaliate. And what we're trying to do is avoid showing that we have an old maid card in our hand, that we have a card we can't play.
Right.
That's what we're trying to avoid, is to show that we can't retaliate.
Well, I'm no military strategist, but it seems to me that if we were to say something like, if you use battlefield nukes in Ukraine, then expect a 50-mile corridor between the Ukrainian border and on the Russian side of the Ukrainian border, stretching 400 miles, to be bombed into rubble, with conventional forces, or something like that. I mean, just threaten some sort of draconian response that is not nuclear. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm not. I think that, I don't know what I'm saying is we cannot retaliate with nukes. I'm saying that the old deterrent theory of mutually assured destruction.
No, I get that, but are you saying that? So let me just try to understand what you're saying, Paul. Are you saying that we should retaliate in a way that isn't nuclear? I gave you an example. It's not one I'm advocating, but just pulling some idea out of the hat. That we should threaten to respond in a non-nuclear way, or we should simply say, if you use battlefield nukes, it's all good with us. We're going to still continue to send weapons into Ukraine. We're still, you're going to still end up with an ongoing insurgency on your hands. It isn't going to work for you anyway. So, do your best.
Yeah, I think that's right. And then what has to happen is, at this point, it has to be Russia has to be under siege. In other words, it has to be completely choked off, surrounded, and we should block their ports of entry. So that nothing can come in or out of Russia. And so if they will push back at that, and also on the Pacific side, they will have to do something about that. They will get aggressive about that. But what else can we do? Putin is just wrecking the country for no reason, and we're standing there watching it. And people, I heard one of the Biden administration military officials say, well, we can't confront him with, a no-fly zone because that would lead to all-out war. Well, I guarantee you that people in Ukraine think it's all-out war now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it absolutely is. And like I said, I carry no illusions that Putin is going to stop, if he is successful with Ukraine, that he's going to stop there. The good news is that so far he's not been successful, and it looks like he's bogged down. And now, just in the last 6 or 8 hours, he has come out and said, okay, we'll stop. Okay, here's all you have to do. And, in other words, it looks like some...
He just came up with terms. Here's my terms for releasing the hostages. And so I think what also, just to finish up here, Tom, is that what Putin's also shown, or what we've shown, based on the Budapest Accord, the Budapest agreements, is that why the hell would anybody Iran, North Korea, nobody should give up their nukes now because we didn't support Ukraine. We did not guarantee Ukraine's sovereignty when they gave up their nukes like we have to.
I made that point last week. I mean, Iran has to be looking at this going, oh, you want us to give up our nukes just like Ukraine gave up its nukes?
Right, right.
Yeah, exactly. Think again. Paul, thank you. Well said. Dave in Federal Way, Washington. Hey, Dave, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, first of all, I wanted to say you sell yourself short. You're a genius. And if it wasn't for Joe Biden, I mean, I'm glad Joe Biden's president because, look, we know this is not really about the Ukraine as far as the Kremlin goes. This is about what many Russians were saying over the weekend. They were saying, look, we have nothing against the Ukraine. We just really want to be more like the Ukraine. Vladimir Putin and the Siloviki, right, the professional, lifelong bureaucrats in Russia, which we have very many similar ones here in America. We just don't call them that. They prefer authoritarianism. It keeps them prosperous. And this is about
and it feeds
Russia
their kleptocracy. Paul earlier said we've got to stop calling it oligarchy and start calling it kleptocracy. I think they're the same thing.
Yeah, roughly the same thing. Okay, right. If you don't like, Russian euphemisms for things, kleptocracy works. It's a lot better than all. Well, as far as like the oligarchs go, what scares me is I hear Vladimir Putin's not even listening to them. He's listening to the old bureaucrats. And here's the thing. And again, I agree with you. I don't think Russia's going to stop. Like I said, I don't really think this is about Ukraine. This is more about Moscow. And the thing is there are two, I've talked to you before about the smart Republicans. I don't think you really, but the thing is the Sinclair group's already starting it, Tom. Sinclair's already saying Volodymyr Zelensky just wants to be an icon.
Oh, really? You're talking to the right-wing television stations, over 200 TV stations across the country? They're running op-eds trashing Zelensky?
Yes.
It is.
Cheryl Atkinson did it over the weekend. She's huge for Sinclair.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Wow.